Today, we're exploring a really striking set of parallels drawn in our source material. We're looking at how specific verses from the Quran, written well over a millennium ago, are being mapped directly onto some of the most profound and complex discoveries in modern cosmology and astrophysics. It's this mind-bending intersection where ancient antiquity meets cutting-edge science. When you really stop to think about the sheer gravity-bound scale of the Earth and the Sun, it's pretty staggering. And what our source text analyzes today is how the poetic language of antiquity, the words used way back then to describe the heavens, celestial bodies, and the night sky, actually maps incredibly well onto the precise calculations of modern physics. We aren't just talking about vague metaphors here either. The research suggests these ancient texts reflect highly specific concepts, ranging from the fundamental mechanics of gravity all the way to Einstein's theory of relativity. So, we're going to unpack this through 5 thematic bridges: the universality of laws, invisible pillars of gravity, calculating light speed, wormholes in space-time travel, and finally, the precise cosmic balance. All right, starting off with section 1, the universality of laws. Basically, do the exact same laws of physics apply everywhere in the universe? To tackle that foundational question, the analysis highlights a specific verse from Surah Al-Hajj. When the text mentions withholding the heaven from falling, the source interprets this as far more than just poetry. It's seen as the introduction of a singular governing force. It implies a universe sustained by consistent, universal rules managed by a creator who supplies the whole system with necessary function and energy. Basically, it sets up the premise that Earth isn't just operating on one localized set of rules, while the rest of deep space operates on another. And the text brilliantly illustrates that ancient claim using modern astronomy. To prove that physical laws truly are universal, the deep dive points to research done with the Effelsberg 100-meter radio telescope. Astronomers observed an incredibly distant quasar, famously known as B0218 plus 367. Now get this, that quasar is 6 billion light-years away from us. But by analyzing ammonia molecules absorbing energy from it, researchers confirmed that the proton-electron mass ratio way out there is absolutely identical to what we measure in laboratories right here on Earth. So yeah, the laws really are universal. Moving right along to section 2, invisible pillars of gravity, and the idea of holding up the sky. This is where we see ancient linguistics tackling astrophysics. In this verse from Surah Al-Ra'd, we get an explicit mention of an invisible structure. It describes the heavens being raised and held in place without any visible support structures or literal pillars. Now, for early readers, this completely refuted the common mythological beliefs of the time. The idea that the sky was a physical dome resting on literal mountains. It presented a massive cosmic mystery. The source analysis then brings in the modern scientific counterpart to this ancient mystery, gravity. But it goes way beyond just Newton's idea of a mechanical pull. The breakdown specifically points to Einstein's general theory of relativity from 1915, which explains that gravity is actually the physical curvature of time and space itself caused by massive objects. It is literally the ultimate unseen architecture of the universe, holding celestial bodies in predictable paths. So the crucial takeaway here is how perfectly these two concepts align. By putting them side by side, the source material argues that the invisible pillars described in the Quranic text serve as a highly accurate metaphor for the invisible curvature of space-time. Just like physical pillars hold up a roof, the curved geometry of space-time dictates the orbital mechanics of stars, planets, and galaxies, keeping the whole shebang perfectly suspended in the cosmic void. Okay, section 3, calculating light's speed. We are looking at an ancient cosmic velocity. Now buckle up, because this section contains one of the most mathematically dense claims in the document. The argument begins with a verse from Surah Yunus talking about the moon and lunar timekeeping. The analysis connects this to another verse from Surah As-Sajda, which describes a specific cosmic event or command traveling across the universe in a single day. Crucially, the text states that this one day of travel is mathematically equivalent to 1,000 lunar years of distance. To translate this ancient riddle into modern physics, the source outlines a very specific mathematical breakdown. Step 1, figure out the exact inertial distance the moon travels in 1,000 lunar years, which comes out to 12,000 lunar orbits. Step 2, take the time frame given in the verse, which is 1 Earth day, specifically a sidereal day, which is exactly 86,164 seconds long. Finally, step 3,
Just apply the basic physics formula for velocity, distance divided by time. And when the author actually runs these numbers, calculating the immense distance of those lunar orbits, divided by these seconds in a sidereal day, the result is 299,649 kilometers per second. This calculation yields a universal velocity that is incredibly, astonishingly close to the accepted modern value for the speed of light in a vacuum, which sits at roughly 299,792 kilometers per second. The document presents this as a profound relativistic equation just hidden in plain sight. Let's pivot to Section 4, wormholes and space-time travel. Basically, cosmic shortcuts. Moving from the speed of light to the very fabric of space itself, the text brings up this really evocative verse from Surah Al-Hijr. It describes a mysterious gate opening in heaven, allowing for rapid, continuous ascension through the cosmos. For centuries, right, this was read purely spiritually. But the source asks us to look at this imagery through the lens of modern theoretical astrophysics. What exactly is a gate in the fabric of heaven? The explainer maps this gate onto a rather strange consequence of Einstein's general relativity: wormholes, or as the text refers to them, worm pits. These are theoretical shortcuts through time and space. The source even cites research suggesting that these worm pits could, in theory, be generated by a rotating mass of charged particles. That would create a magnetic field strong enough to bend the surrounding space-time, kind of like dropping a heavy bowling ball onto an elastic trampoline. So let's see how this builds together. The analysis beautifully juxtaposes that poetic vision of a heavenly gate with the modern theoretical model of a slow rotating worm pit. If space really is an elastic canvas, as relativity tells us, then a massive gravitational or magnetic distortion could totally create a tunnel, a literal gate, connecting two incredibly distant points. And that would allow for exactly the kind of rapid ascension described in the ancient text. Which brings us to our final area, Section 5. The precise cosmic balance, finding order out of chaos. Stepping back to look at the big picture, the source points to several verses, just like this one from Surah Fatir, which declare an unchangeable, unalterable way or practice of the Creator. The text interprets these passages not just as theological statements about divine will, but actually as direct, literal references to the unchanging, fundamental physical constants of the universe, the rigid mathematical rules that even permit existence as we know it. To back this up, our deep dive lists some specific unyielding constants in physics. We're talking about the Planck constant, the highly specific electric charge of an electron, atomic weights, the speed of light. The analysis emphasizes that if the absolute values of these constants fluctuated even a tiny bit, if they could be altered, the delicate chemistry required for life would simply cease to exist. Our entire universe would just fundamentally fall apart. When you consider the breathtaking, complex structure of a glowing nebula, the text argues that this precise cosmic balance is the only reason we see this kind of beauty. Cosmologists note that matter in the early stages of space was evenly distributed. If the Big Bang was just a totally random, unguided explosion, the research suggests we'd just see matter arranged in a chaotic, aimless mess. Instead, because of those rigidly enforced constants and perfectly balanced gravitational forces, we have magnificently structured galaxies orbiting in perfectly predictable paths. So, what does this all mean? We're left with the ultimate inquiry posed by our source material today. When you look at the sheer number of precise mathematical alignments, from the speed of light to the universality of the proton-electron ratio, and you see how closely these ancient verses seem to anticipate modern relativistic physics, you really have to ask, is this profound order and alignment just a product of random, meaningless chance? Or are we looking at the deliberate mathematical blueprint of an intelligent creator? It's a massive question, and one that absolutely leaves you looking up at the night sky in a completely different way. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning the universe.